Welcome to Talking Technology with VI Labs. At VI Labs, we believe technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you're looking for the latest news and conversation on tech from a more accessible perspective, you've come to the right place.
Yes, indeed you have. Hello and welcome in to Talking Technology episode number 67. Hope you're having a good couple of days since we were last talking to you. The new iPhones, well, they're here. Did you get new iPhones? They've shipped and everything now. The reviews are in. It seems like a lot of people are feeling that, well, it's much the same as it was last year, really. But there you go. It's always good, I guess, to get those little incremental improvements too, isn't it? You know, it's the little bits that make the difference. You know, we don't have the Apple Intelligence or anything like that yet, but apparently they say that's coming. So yeah, always good stuff, and you know, we are moving forward, which is always great to see. And there's also been some really cool tech announcements over the past 2 weeks as well, it must be said. There's been the announcement that Elon Musk's blind sight has been given a breakthrough device designation from the FDA in America. We'll be talking about that as well later on in tech news and a whole lot more. So do stick with us for the next hour or so. We'd love to have you involved. So yeah, welcome in to Talking Technology episode 67. It's a packed show as always, and we're looking forward to jumping right in with all of the fun technology stuff. So as always, if you want to get in touch with the show, this is your show, remember, there's loads of ways that you can do so, and we'd absolutely love to hear from you. So if you want to join the conversation, well, there's no reason not to. We would absolutely love to hear from you, and you can do it in a few different ways. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you can send us an email to content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. That's probably one of the handiest ways to do it. If you're in your email there, your Gmail or whatever you're in, just pop us an email, content@vi.ie. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Or you can send us a WhatsApp voice note. The number that you need is 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. We'd absolutely love to hear from you, whether you have opinions on the technology in our technology news. Maybe you've got a new iPhone or some other piece of really cool new tech and you want to share your thoughts. Tell us how you're getting on with it, what you like, what you don't like, what's making you mad. We'd love to hear from you. 086 199 0011. Send us a WhatsApp voice note now. And hey, loads of people have been sending us WhatsApp voice notes too over the past 2 weeks, and joining me back from his holidays to talk about the voice notes and a number of other things too. I am joined back in Kilkenny by Mr. Joe Lonigan. Joe, how does it feel to be back from sunny Spain?
I'm good to be back. Actually, I brought some weather back with me, but I think we're at the end of it now.
It's decided, Jesus, I've had enough of these Irish lads and going back home again.
Yeah, exactly. Back to the kind of cooler weather with a few showers thrown in. Typical Irish weather.
Unfortunately so. You had a good holiday anyway?
Yeah, great holiday. 29 degrees most of the time, and plenty of fun in the pool and the beach, and a great time with the kids and wife, and it all went well.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Fantastic. So, Joe, loads of people sending in voice notes again this week. And we're starting off here with a voice note in from Raheem, who is talking about a number of really interesting things, including his induction hob for the house that he's living in.
Hi, David, Joe. Raheem Nasralli here. Hope you're well. So I'm not living in the luxury apartment anymore. David, you'd be glad to know. I'm now moved out of Howth as the audit is setting up, and I'm living in Mullingar in the Midlands now. I have to say it's a great old town. So enjoying it there. Yeah, nearly finished the project. We're actually getting a lot more done. We decided while the builder is there, we haven't gone over budget. So we might as well get other things done, because getting someone after this will be very difficult. So I noticed in the house in Mullingar, I'm just staying with a friend, and he has an induction hob. I found this very difficult to use. I had a very, very little eyesight. Myself, eyesight's getting worse all the time, as a lot of us have that challenge. But what I'm noticing is with induction hobs, I'm used to gas hobs. So with induction, you can't feel the rings. You can't really feel where they are, and where the pot would sit onto them. This was a real challenge for the first few weeks. Eventually got used to it just by negotiating, well, where are the buttons? Even then I couldn't find those either. I got some bump-ons for those. But then I heard of something through friends of mine called pickle pear. Haven't got them yet. They're like ceramic round, I think they're round-shaped ceramic objects that I think it helps you to align your pot onto the ring. So I am thinking of ordering these because my new cooker in my house won't be gas. It'll be induction. So this is something I'll have to think about in the future. So that's really all I have. It's just about pickled pear is what I heard about, because I was going to actually send you guys a voice note maybe about a week ago regarding the induction hob, but then a friend of mine told me about pickled pear. So there you go. Any tips that all you guys may have on induction hobs, as I think they are quite hard to use as a VI person. I know you can get bump-ons for the buttons, which also is hugely helpful. Appreciate, as always, the show. Really enjoying it. Thank you very much.
So, Joe, really interesting stuff there about the induction hob. You've been working with the induction hob there for a while now. How are you finding it?
I have one as well, David. I have a down-vented Siemens one, and when I bought it, I expected it to work with Home Connect and fully be able to use it remotely. But unfortunately, due to EU regulations, the final step, once you get to that part of the final step of sending the instructions to the hob, it says, please confirm on device, and this is not easy. So I, like Raheem, have now put bump-ons on the touch panel, and I have some different shape bump-ons as well from Halo tactile stickers, and they help a little bit, but it's still difficult to use. I also have what did Raheem call them there?
The pickled pear. Yeah, so the Pan Pickle from the RNIB.
Pan Pickle. Yeah, I think pickled pear might be something you get in a can, but we won't go into that. This is the Pan Pickle, yeah. So Pan Pickle is two silicone, we'll say, items that you can stick on either side of the induction hob. So an induction hob is like a glass panel, so there's no tactile surface on it. You can't feel where you want to put a pot if you're totally blind. So what you can do with these two semicircle pieces is you can put one on the left and one on the right, and then try and fit your pot in between the parameters of those two silicone pieces. And what they look like is, we'll say if you peeled a banana and you had the banana in your hand, slice it down the middle, and then the flat piece you'll put down on the induction hob, and then you'll feel a rubber piece on your left, and then put the other flat piece on the right, and then you'll have area in between to put the pan. So it's quite a good idea, actually, and these are heat resistant to a certain degree, you know what I mean? Obviously you can't use them with electric or gas, so only for induction.
You'll melt your pickle, Joe.
Well, that's the trouble, you know. Yeah. I know. I think we're safe enough with these. They're very, very safe, and because only the area heats up where the pan is, these might get a little bit of heat on them, residual heat, but not enough to melt the silicone, put it that way. Yeah. And you can rinse them under the tap then as well. So they're quite a useful tool for anybody who is forced to use an induction hob, or if you choose to use an induction hob. I think Raheem is currently forced to use one because he's renting a house that already has an induction hob in it, and he has improvised by putting bump-ons in it, which is also a good idea. But there's also fairly basic induction hobs out there that have, we'll say, the old tactile knobs on them, or twisty tactile, well, not buttons, they're more knobs, you know.
Like dials.
So, dial, that's what you could call them, yeah. Twisty dials or knobs that you can feel, and there's 4 of them on it. These are by Rosso Appliances. Rosso, I think, is Rosso, and if you Google Rosso Appliances, they're based in Ireland. They're quite an efficient and really good looking hob, but you can at least you have control of them. You don't have to use a touch screen, and you have tactile controls. But if you had the tactile controls and you also had these pan pickles, then you're on track to have some accessible cooking.
Sure.
It doesn't speak back to you or anything like that, but you definitely can get the dial to go to number 6 in the mid heat, we'll say, and cook most things, and it's definitely you can count to, we'll say, 11. If you want really hot, you can count from 1 to 11 and choose what kind of heat you need. You know what I mean? So I think the Rosso is a good starter hob for somebody, but it's not the most advanced hob. It's around the €500 mark. Big difference from some of the Siemens Neff ones, which range from anything from 1,500 up to €3,000. So if you're going for the downdraft ones, they are very expensive. But the thing with downdraft is your steam from the pot gets sucked down into it. You don't need an overhead hood. You don't need an overhead extractor fan. And this technology just pulls the steam downwards and redistributes it into the room. So it's kind of fancy, but it also has its advantages where you don't have to be drilling holes in your wall to put an extractor fan out through the wall.
Yeah, that really is great. And you mentioned even earlier on that, you could put presses above or whatever, which above cupboard, a hob or whatever could be really useful. And is something, to be honest, I hadn't considered before, but there you go. And I think those pan pickle, the idea there is really good. It is a shame, I think, in some ways that obviously you can't use them on the electric ones, but it's a great idea because that can be a challenge, that alignment of the pot or the pan on the hob to get it on the ring right can be quite difficult. And as Raheem rightly said earlier on, it's easier if it is gas, but gas obviously has a lot of disadvantages then in terms of its, safety and efficiency and all of these different things too.
Yep.
So a really interesting one.
The thing about some of the newer hobs is as well, if you're only using one pot, for example, on the Siemens, if you put the pot on, we'll say, the left, front left ring, the hob will actually detect that there's a pot there. So you won't have to line that one up, you know what I mean? But if you had two pots, then that's a different story. You'll have to do a bit of work to get the second ring on. Then pan pickles might come into action there. And also you have a flex zone on some of them as well. So you can turn on 2 rings at once and you can place the pot anywhere in between that flex zone. But the complicated part is trying to get the actual flex zone on. So touchscreens, inductions, not ideal, but workable with a bit of outside the box thinking.
In time, you'd really be hoping that all of these things would have screen readers, wouldn't you? It's kind of, it is mad that they don't, but in time, you will be hoping that a lot of these devices will get screen readers.
I'm currently talking to the people in Home Connect, and I'm trying to get them to make it fully remote, and we'll get over the EU regulations, or maybe put the Home Connect app through test pilot and see can they make it individualized like that. But look, that's a work in process. I'm still waiting to hear back some more information if we can possibly get somewhere with that. But all you can do is talk to these people, let them know what we want, and hopefully down the line in time, as you said, even with an app, I'll be satisfied with if it works with an app. But the ideal thing would be for it to work straight out of the box and have something built in. But that would mean having a little speaker on it and all that kind of stuff. But we'll see how it goes, David, down the line.
For sure. And if we just go back very briefly, I'm an evil man here now, Joe, but if we just go back very briefly to the Pan Pickle. Daniel, you've got a good rhyme there to help us remember where we can purchase a Pan Pickle if we want a Pan Pickle.
Okay, I'll let my assistant tell you about this.
A few moments later.
She's gone on strike. I made it.
Yeah, you've got to do it. No getting out of that, Daniel.
Peter Piper picked a pan pickle, perfect for pans. A pan pickle perfect for pans Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a pan pickle perfect for pans, where's the pan pickle perfect for pans Peter Piper picked? It's available now from Breda in the Vision Ireland shop.
Good man yourself, Daniel. Fair play. Yeah, nice trying to get out of it, but I think the tech gods were with me there. So
they were. Yeah,
David had
they
that
were just
hope.
going to say, I have to do that today, don't they?
He's not going to read it all, David. Don't worry.
I love it. Brilliant stuff. Thanks for being a good sport, Daniel. Cheers. We do have another voice note in, this time all the way from Canada, Joe. Here is Mark from Canada. Here's what he had to say.
Hi, it's Mark Bayarjon in Montreal, Quebec. And I just want to reach out and say hi to you fellas over there and how much I enjoy the show. And, well, I'm getting the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The color for me is black, the desert color for my wife. My wife is sighted. We're getting 512 gigs, and I'm really excited about this phone. I'm interested to see what it will do, this point thing with the phone, and for it to be able to tell you where you are if you're pointing at a restaurant or something like that, and ask you if you want the website for the restaurant or the menu for the restaurant, or for an office building or any, public venue, and just generally to describe the scenery. That's pretty exciting stuff. And I'm looking forward to the other AI stuff to see how Siri works. I'm not a huge Siri fan, but I'm still interested in seeing that. I'm a voiceover user. I'm totally blind since birth for premature retinopathy. I think there's a lot of exciting and interesting stuff here, and it's only going to get better. And with the Ray-Ban Meta glasses and the MetaView app in conjunction to all of this, it only makes the whole thing more interesting. So after the 20th, time will tell. That's the rollout date, and Rogers Communications, our carrier here, has said that as soon as they get them in from Apple, they'll be shipping them out after the 20th. So hopefully by around the 23rd, I would think at the latest, or around there, we should have our glasses. And it's interesting that I have a friend in Toronto who ordered the same type of glasses as me, and his wife the same type as my wife. And then we have friends in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, who are also ordering the glasses and also ordered at the same time as we did, except it was 10:30 at night over there. So this is quite the thing. It's kind of like Christmas for all of us in the Apple ecoverse. I do use hearing aids. I use the Phonak Procom Pilot 2 hearing aids with the Bluetooth box, and they work adequately, but I'm curious. I've never used the earpods or had a pair, and this hearing aid enhancement might entice me to do so, just to see what it can do as in comparison with my hearing aids, and which might be better. So I'm looking forward to all of this. Once again, thanks a lot for the show. It's really enjoyable to listen to. I love the accents, by the way. Sorry, my audio message isn't as good as Joe's live from the beach in Spain, so I hate to disappoint you, but I just couldn't find a beach with waves around here. They just don't exist, and the St. Lawrence River doesn't cut it. Here's to more and shows in the future, and happiness with the new phones and associated hardware.
Thanks so much, Mark. Really appreciate the voice note all the way from Canada, Joe. Great to have an international perspective as well. Joe, how are you feeling about the new iPhones at the moment?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks very much, Mark. That was an excellent voice note. Very detailed and great to have one of our first international voice notes. Just shows the reach we're getting out there now. So I'm very happy to hear Mark is shopping, spending a lot of money there, and he's looking forward to his iPhone 16s coming soon, and smart glasses. So how am I feeling about the event? A little bit look, I love to see developments in Apple and things like that. But I'm a little bit underwhelmed because some of the, I suppose, iOS software pieces are not coming here for a while. We always seem to be the last ones to get it over here in Ireland. So, likes of Apple Intelligence, visual intelligence. If there's any more, I need to Siri, improve Siri. Is that coming here yet, David? Or are we still waiting for that as well?
No, we're still waiting on that as well. It's interesting. I actually was slightly concerned when I heard Mark's voice note the first time around, because Mark isn't in. You've got to remember, Mark's in Canada, which isn't the United States. Those are two very different places. So they're kind of in a similar boat to us in the sense that Apple Intelligence, I don't think, is rolling out there straight away. So apparently, you can. Mark was saying that you can actually get, the Apple Intelligence once the 8.1 version, 18.1 version of iOS is released, that you can, by changing like your phone's region and all of these different things, there is a way into kind of tricking it to give you the Apple Intelligence, which I guess is good. It's obviously not a sanctioned or recommended feature, but you can do that. But even with that said, there's some features that I was reading the other day that, aren't even coming in 18.1. Like, I think for things like visual intelligence and some of the improvements to Siri and so on, we might be waiting as far out as, 18.3. So that could be, the new year in America and probably even later on over here. So quite a while to wait, I think. And it's a bit of a shame in some ways, because these new phones, Apple Intelligence and, visual intelligence for those of us who are visually impaired, those are the main selling points, I think, in some regards, but they're not here yet. So it feels a bit premature in some regards, doesn't it?
Yeah, like having to wait for these features, then that holds me back from buying a newer phone than the iPhone 14 Pro, which I have here beside me. I would think about getting a 15 or 16 if I thought those things were coming. I'd have to have it confirmed. You know what I mean? It was over here on this side of the water. It's just that's what I mean. It's very underwhelming. What's new out there for us then at the moment? We say, improved camera, improved battery life. Them things are getting slightly boring now at this stage, if you know what I mean. The exciting bits are the software, the phones. It's very hard to improve the phones from what they are now. Look, they're mostly waterproof and dustproof and all that stuff at the moment. So they have mega cameras, which, how can a camera get too much better than what they already are? So I think, they just can't keep leaving Ireland behind like that. And I think worldwide at this stage, I think software should be at the stage where it's released worldwide all at once. I'm not sure what holds it all back that much. I'm supposed there's the regulations and all that kind of thing. But the Apple Intelligence, there's been an awful lot of talk about it, but not that much substance yet. Maybe they're just waiting to get it right before they release anything. That can be a good thing sometimes too, David.
That is very fair. There is, I think, that trend though, and you touched on it earlier, even with the with the Hob and stuff like that, of us not sometimes getting the full functionality that might exist in somewhere like the States. Like you could look at something like the Meta smart glasses, and I know a lot of people have been using VPNs to access those smart glasses. We talked about that before, but I think it is really interesting that oftentimes Ireland can be left behind a little bit in the rollout of some of this cool tech. It's some things like, the Amazon, the smart microwave that Amazon came out, the Echo microwave, things like that never even came to Ireland. We're still waiting on Vision Pro. It still hasn't come to Ireland. I don't think it's even arrived in many EU countries at all yet. So, like, these things are happening very slowly because the States have had that since March? That's 6 months ago now. So the process seems very slow sometimes, which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is interesting. It's fascinating to see. Look, I suppose that we are so left behind in that department. It ends up some of those events are nearly, I suppose, content as such. We watch them just for entertainment rather than actually to see what's coming. Sometimes that's the way it's starting to become at the moment. Like I think they've been talking about Apple Intelligence for nearly the bones of a year now. Do you know what I mean? And there still hasn't been any major, I suppose, sign of it. You know what I mean? And the visual intelligence, I think that's one of the most interesting pieces for me. Like just not having to open an app and we'll say wait so long for responses and all that kind of stuff. Just be able to point your camera at something. I'm looking forward for that to come out, and we'll say just to see will it work well with voiceover and see what kind of information and where they're pulling the information from would be also interesting. Is it OpenAI or are they getting it from Bing or Chrome or Google, or can you choose what we'll say AI you're going to use? So I'm looking forward to all that. But as you said, we're waiting, David.
Yeah, and I'd say it could be like by the time we get a fully featured, Apple Intelligence, you might as well, if you're holding out, you might as well probably wait until the 17 if your phone, can wait for it, because like at the moment, like I've got the 15 Pro here. I upgraded last year. I was on the 12 and I upgraded to the 15 Pro. But I have no desire, not that I would have. I'm not buying another phone this year. Absolutely not. But
I think there's definitely merit in that, David. Like if, I suppose for a lot of us, the improvements of accessibility features are not necessarily even improvements, but totally new items such as this Apple Intelligence. Like that would be the reason you would probably go out and change your iPhone now. But if it's been held off, first of all, by Apple for 18.2 or 18.3, as you say, that's going to push it into the Christmas time or New Year, and then Ireland is left behind that again. So you're potentially talking Easter. Like, why bother go along now and bother with an iPhone 16 and just wait for the 17? That's a very, very good point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of these things. I've definitely got no ambition to upgrade at the moment. And I think, it's hard to see the point, because I think it's worth talking about some of the, the actual new features in iOS. But I think just to go back to Mark's point, like Mark, I think it's going to be really interesting, and do feel free to follow up with us with another voice note to let us know how you're getting on with the phone, and hopefully you do enjoy it. I think we can be a bit cynical sometimes, but it is interesting, to see how the phones will go. Like it'll definitely reach a really good point at some stage, but if I was going out to buy a phone now, it's hard to, I guess, justify doing it now, because you get it. And I mean, like a 16 Pro is going to be the exact same pretty much as my 15 Pro is now. It's got a very slightly bigger screen.
Yeah.
Slightly thinner bezels.
Did Mark say to us what model he is upgrading from, or
he didn't? No.
So that'd be interesting to see. Maybe Mark has an older handset now, and it's probably battery life is gone or something like that, and maybe it's a good time, even if you aren't getting all the features. At least you're prepared and you have your phone. But I suppose for someone in your situation, David, where you got 15 Pro last year, why would you?
Yeah, it's true. Mark, thank you so much for sending in the voice note. Really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to send us in a voice note as well, we'd love to hear from you. The number that you need, 086 199 0011. And remember as well, if you're listening internationally, you can still use that number on WhatsApp. It's not just limited to Ireland. All you've got to do is just change it slightly. So it's 353 86 199 0011. Righto, in terms of some of the other features, while we're on the subject of iPhones and all of that sort of stuff, Joe, was there stuff standing out to you? I know one of the things you mentioned was the fact that you can now schedule messages to send in iMessage. A small thing, but handy at the same time.
Oh, it's very handy, David. I was at the plough match with one of my colleagues the other day, and we had a bit of a laugh because we couldn't find the car when we were coming out, because yourself, you park in a big field, and if you didn't do the clever thing and pin your car. You're looking for it for a little while. So I was looking at a video that night when we went home, and it was 11:30, I suppose, a bit late to send on text messages. So I scheduled it for it was a skit on it was a kind of a comedy thing about finding your car after the plough match. So I wanted to share that, but it was gone too late. So I scheduled it for the following morning, and I seen in iOS 18 that they have text message scheduling. So you click more apps in the text messaging area, and then it pops up, and you can pick the time that you want to send it, and it's all accessible with VoiceOver. And then you click send, and the following morning, my friend got a message, and he replied with LOL or whatever. But it was an appropriate time. So for either maybe work messages, or maybe so that you don't wake up your friend if it's gone too late or whatever. It's a very handy feature. It's also handy for reminding yourself of things. You can send yourself a text message of something maybe on that particular day you might want to be reminded. So if you have an appointment the following week, you could send yourself a text message. I know the reminder app is there for those things as well, but sometimes those reminder notifications aren't as, we'll say, blunt or intrusive as a text message. So at least a text message is a better reminder at times.
Absolutely. And of course you can do this as well with email and stuff like that. I always find, if I'm emailing a company for support or something like that, I'll schedule it to send at 8 a.m. the next morning, because they'll pick it up quicker,
That's it. You see, it's a more appropriate work time as well. And it'll come in maybe when they're in the office, rather than having them trawling back through a list of emails that came in the previous evening or something. So yeah, the scheduling messages at working hours is definitely a good idea.
Yeah, and it makes me feel less insane, because I'm not sending a text message at 2 a.m, even if I am writing it at 2 a.m. You know yourself, Joe.
Yeah, it makes you feel less insane, and makes your colleague, feel also that
sleep.
You're less insane. You're not talking to somebody just insane.
Yeah,
up all night sending texts.
There you go. It happens from time to time. But
yeah,
there you
it
go.
happens, yeah. Sometimes you can't sleep, David, so...
It's true. Yeah, absolutely. Another really interesting feature from iOS 18, again coming to all of the devices that are getting iOS 18, is the Passwords app. It seems to me that this is an app that probably should have existed for years ago. We've seen things like, 1Password and NordPass and all of those. But now Apple have their own password app, and it ties in with iCloud Keychain and stuff like that, Joe.
Yeah, I think it's great actually to have an actual dedicated password app from Apple. Apple takes security very seriously. So I actually didn't read about it before the update. I updated my phone. I noticed it appeared on the home screen, and I opened the app, and it explained to me what it was, and I was able to set up a few things. And I think it's great to have an actual dedicated passwords app. You can also share passwords from there with your friends and colleagues from work or home, whatever. And it's a big improvement to just have an Apple Keychain hidden in the background, which I suppose is a bit of an app, but it was hidden somewhere in settings. And you could, I suppose, access Keychain through the iCloud and stuff. But I think the password app is a better idea. I like it.
Big improvement.
Definitely a big improvement, and it's great to have it on the home screen of your iPhone. Yeah, 1Password and all those things. Yeah, they're quite good. And I suppose Google also, you have options to save passwords in your Google account and things like that. But I didn't have that option on my iPhone really before now, apart from the keychain. But sometimes the keychain thing didn't work that great on some of the older phones. I found, like, I have an iPhone 8 there, and it didn't really work as good. It never offered me the chance to save it like the newer iOS softwares did, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting. One of the things I really liked actually about the new Passwords app as well is that it can flag if your password has been found in like a data dump on the net or whatever the case may be. So it can kind of, it keeps an eye on things for you from that security point of view. I know many people have used the that website, the Have I Been Pawned website before. And a great tool that to check, if you have had your passwords or anything like that compromised. But now this app will literally do it for you, which is really, really handy in many ways, isn't it?
It's really handy, actually, yeah, because look, security is just a massive thing out there at the moment. Everybody is getting targeted probably multiple times a day at this stage, and whether it's your Netflix account or whatever, some people have a habit of maybe sharing passwords they shouldn't do and ends up going into a data breach, or maybe logging into hotel TVs and forgetting to log out and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Or maybe out in your holidays in a bungalow or something, and you might log into a smart TV. These kind of things. So people don't forget to log out of those things as well.
That's true. One thing I like about in the password apps is the Wi-Fi. Because often you're home and friends call around and somebody wants to connect to your Wi-Fi, and you say, "Oh, Jenny, I'm after changing my router a few weeks ago. What's the new password?" Well, now you can just go in on it and reveal the password and give it to your friend.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good,
really
Daniel.
handy. Yeah, no, it is really handy. And even in a handy tip as well, is if you go into your Wi-Fi settings on iOS and you tap the password section, the stars actually get removed. If you're connected to the network, the stars are removed and it will show you what the password is, which is also a really handy thing to know as well. But yeah, I guess this is an opportunity that we might as well use to plug our scams and frauds course. So look, what we're talking about, passwords, scams, frauds, all of that sort of stuff. They're on the rise, unfortunately, and it's important to know how to identify scams, frauds, and things like that. If that's something that you're interested in, pop the lads over there an email, training@vi.ie, if you're interested in taking part in the Vision Ireland Scams and Frauds, Identifying Scams and Frauds course there.
Be very clear. It's how to identify, not how to become a scammer.
We can't teach you how to become a scammer. There are other resources for that. The Scams and Frauds, Identifying Scams and Frauds course, send the lads an email there, training@vi.ie. One of the coolest features, I think, and this is one of the probably biggest ones that I've noticed, Joe, in iOS 18 is the new vocal shortcuts feature, which is really handy, and it's kind of letting you activate shortcuts, traditionally Siri shortcuts, without having to actually activate Siri, which is great.
Yeah, this is a fantastic one, actually. Like, you don't have to go holding down home buttons or side buttons or saying hey, is it hey, I don't activate everybody's thing to the Siri word, so that you just say, for example, you can just say open Facebook and it'll open it, or you can say read this post, or whatever other Siri command you've already set up in your shortcuts app. Also, I suppose, look, things like the camera, stuff like that you might want to access really quickly. You can just say open camera, and you can teach your phone to recognize your voice and just hold your mouth close to the microphone. And I suppose it's a lot easier. There's no command needed. I think it's very clever, actually.
It is good.
I don't think that's here in Ireland yet, does it?
It is. I'm using it as we speak, Daniel, which is great, actually. So, it is actually, it's one of the intelligent features that actually came to Ireland, which is brilliant. It's in accessibility settings. So you go into your accessibility settings and there's an option there. It's not in the vision section, so you have to flick down a fair bit. But there's like a vocal shortcuts section, and you do actually have to set them up individually. But I have one now, for example. We have to keep timesheets here in work. So, if I want to just quickly open my template for timesheets, I had a Siri shortcut that I would just say open timesheet and it would open the document for me. But now I don't even have to activate Siri for that. I can just say open timesheet and away it'll go. It is good. I have found it to be a little hit and miss. It does kind of on occasion take a few attempts, but if you're in a quiet environment and you pronounce it well, and you sometimes you might have to say it twice or even 3 times, but it will eventually decide to listen to you, and it will perform the action, and that's only going to get better with time as well.
I think it'll get better. Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah, so I think it is a really good feature that I think in time, it'll lower that barrier to entry as well for people, because using Siri, I think for a lot of us that use these devices day in day out, it's grand, but for many others they find it difficult, and saying something just as simple as read the post, it's a little bit more memorable, it's a bit more human, and it's a bit more, it lowers that barrier to entry, it lowers that learning curve for people, which I think
lowers
is
that friction.
It does,
think the most difficult part of that, David, is probably setting up the shortcuts. So as you said, you have to go into accessibility, then voiceover, and all the way down to vocal shortcuts. So it's a slight bit of work setting them up, and the fact you're doing it individually can be a little bit annoying, but if you pick 3 or 4 just to get you going, then you might start using it a bit more, So I think that's the difficult part, setting them up. Using them, that's the easy part. But as you say, David, it can take a couple of goes. But I suppose the more the phone hears your voice, it will probably get better at doing it. All the processing is done on device as well. It doesn't have to send the information away to the cloud and then come back to you. So technically, it should be quick enough.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah, because often the complaint is Siri is hit and miss, maybe down to mobile data reception, and obviously in some remote parts of the country, it's not going to be as good as it probably needs to be.
That's
right,
true. Yeah. And it's a brilliant point, because it's this does run on device. So if you have a shortcut that runs locally, well, happy days, because you can now just, the phone will listen to you, and it'll store it on the device. It'll process it without needing the internet. So you could be in the middle of nowhere, and you could say, for example, like I had a Siri shortcut there for a while that would start a workout on my Apple Watch. It would start a running workout or whatever. So now I could, in theory, and I haven't set this up yet, but I could, in theory, just be in the middle of nowhere and say, well, start my outdoor walk, and it will do that for me, and it's great in that regard.
Come on, David. Set that one up. Don't be lazy. Set that one up.
I know. I'm after getting brutal now. I did, in fairness, do an indoor walk this weekend, Joe. So
walk from the kitchen to the sitting room.
Yeah. Well, in fairness to me, like, it is safer to, like, I will effectively, like, speed walk, like, up and down the hall and stuff like that, and I've no obstacles. There's no unknown variables. So in fairness to me, it's probably the easiest way. And you're not getting the advantage of fresh air or whatever, but then you're also not tripping over a bike or whatever the hell kids have left on the walkway, like, so pros and cons.
We're only slagging David. All kudos to indoor walks.
Yeah, no, I do my indoor walk. I am a very fit man, I'll have lads, very fit man. Okay. But there you go. So vocal shortcuts, are you planning to set up any, Joe, any coming to mind that you'll be planning to set up?
Yeah, mine, I suppose I have a couple. I set up a couple there today. I haven't used them yet now. Call a volunteer. I changed that one to a vocal command. So to be my eyes, call a volunteer. Occasionally, when I'm stuck with that hob, that a nightmare of a hob I purchased, so I can call a volunteer to confirm that we'll say something has been done correctly. There was another one. Yeah, the camera one. Open the camera as well. I just hold the phone and open the camera. Sometimes I have 2 dogs, and if you're walking 2 dogs, sometimes your hands aren't the freest. You know what I mean? I think I can see these becoming popular. As I said, I've only played around with it today when I was reading up on a bit more on some of the iOS updates. So I'll keep you informed on how I go, and if I find them as useful as I think they're going to be.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. And as we said, there's loads of great features coming to iOS 18. We do cover more of these on our Tech on Tap newsletter. You can check more of that out on the website vi.ie. There is, as we said earlier on as well, there's lots of stuff that isn't coming to Ireland. Apple Intelligence is probably the main one. The improved Siri is the main one. You were mentioning to us earlier, Daniel, a really interesting feature that was that Siri can kind of listen for atypical speech. And that doesn't seem to have come to Ireland yet either, unfortunately.
No, sorry, that's the one I was getting mixed up with voice controls earlier. The atypical speech. It's a new feature that is being bolted on to Siri, and it seems it just seems to be in America at the moment. It hasn't rolled out here, which is very disappointing. And it's tuned for our local accents. So obviously, any visitors to Ireland or anyone listening on can appreciate that there's great variance in the accents across this island of ours. So, people from some parts of the country will probably berate Siri for lack of accuracy, whereas in other parts of the country it's a lot more accurate. So I think when this atypical speech, it's designed for the different localized accents that we have here. And in America, I was just reading it actually on Apple Viz, where a guy in the Carolinas, and I don't know the American accents too well, as in varying from place to place, but they said that his Carolina accent got a lot more accurate after this update as well. Another update that I found, David, just actually on my lunch today, because I only got a chance to upgrade to iOS 18 this morning, is in the actual phone app itself. And probably a lot of us would use our contacts, our list of contacts when we go, we dial someone out of the contacts list. But for some people out there, maybe if you have a brain like mine, I'll remember a phone number quicker than a name. And often I find myself dialing a phone number old-fashioned style. And it was on Android for donkey's years. If you start dialing in, 0821234, and someone, the people with 0871234 would start coming to the top of your list, and you could quickly pick them out. And I noticed that's now, after all these years, being added to the phone app in Apple. So well done there. So as you started dialing in the number, anyone that is matching is getting filtered on as you're dialing in the number. So it's very handy. So, maybe if you know the first 4 or 5 digits of someone's number and they happen to be in your contacts, but, you can quickly scroll down and pick them out of the list and dial them. So just another nice little feature. And also there as well, if you're dialing in a phone number that's not in your contacts, there is an option to add them straight from the keypad dialer, which wasn't before.
Those are great. Do you know what? It's those little quality of life things, isn't it, that do make the difference. Like, we didn't discuss it in detail, but there is like the control center there as well, that you can now readjust the size of some of the items in the control center and stuff. And it's those little quality of life bits. I don't think it makes that much difference when they just move a random button for no apparent reason. But there are those little quality of life improvements and those little added features that do, make life a little bit easier. But yeah, absolutely. And I suppose something we didn't get to touch on today is what we are discussing, I suppose, a good bit about iOS 18. Is the voiceover improvements, and particularly for Braille users now, just to say that we do have our Braille Talking Technology Braille special is coming up. It's in October, towards the end of October, David. Is it the 20? Yeah, at the moment we're looking at the 22nd of October there, but TBC. Yeah. But it is good that there is new Braille features there in VoiceOver, and there's also a new VoiceOver tutorial there as well. But have you
I think
upgraded?
they've expanded the voices as well in VoiceOver. There's more voices available.
Always good to hear. Have you upgraded, Joe?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I see that VoiceOver tutorial. All right, we had VO Starter, a separate app there for a while, which was excellent, and it probably is still excellent for people to use if you want to check out the App Store, VO Starter, and teach yourself VoiceOver if you're not already proficient in it. But it's great to see Apple themselves throw one there into the mix and help people, because this is their first, after iOS 18, it took them to put a voiceover tutorial on. So finally there's a voiceover tutorial. I think it's badly needed because voiceover has a big learning curve. Just I know people have bought iPhones and then given up on them because of the learning curve, but you do have to give voiceover a full month, I think, before you can give up on it. And just to give people a hand and learning those initial vital gestures, we'll say, the fundamentals of using voiceover, it's very important. So I'd advise anyone to have a look at that voiceover tutorial there and see how they get on. As you said, David, there's probably a couple of bugs in it so far. Always is in the first effort, but look, I can see it improving as we go along, and hopefully the accessibility team will stick at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is definitely great to see. It's existed on the Mac side for quite a long time, but it is great to see it coming to iOS. There are a few bugs with, as you mentioned there, Joe, with iOS 18 generally. I don't know how widespread some of them are. My poor phone has started adjusting its volume on its own. I don't know, is that a common thing? But it certainly wasn't doing it 3 weeks ago, but it seems to be doing that now. And I've noticed there's been a few connection issues with AirPods and stuff like that, but like, it is, you always expect this with the 0.0 release, and I think we are getting to a point where it is definitely usable. Maybe hold off for a week or two. If you're managing okay, stick it out for a week or two. But generally, I've been happy enough with iOS 18, but I am really waiting on those intelligence features, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely, David. Going back to the AirPods there, I noticed they do jump from one device to the other a lot, especially if you're a user of 2 or 3 different Apple devices, and maybe somebody else in the house, maybe one of the kids in my case throws on the iPad, and next of all, I have the AirPods in, and some YouTube video starts randomly playing in my ear, and that can be quite annoying. Actually, I wish there was a better way of knocking that off or turning off, we'll say, AirPods or Bluetooth quickly from where I am, if you know what I mean. So, in some cases, you might need Bluetooth on for a couple of different devices, so it's not always appropriate to turn it off. So I just switching. AirPod switching can be quite annoying, or automatic switching. I'm not sure what the exact term they use for it, David, is, but the AirPods could do it a little bit more deep thinking. So I'm hoping for a couple of more upgrades down the line in that department. Even though some of the upgrades that they have given this time are excellent, including the hearing aid one, which Mark from Quebec mentioned in the voice note earlier on. Also not coming here right now, but it will be here soon, hopefully.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the AirPods switching there. We had an old iPad at home. It actually died during the week. Unfortunately, the logic board is fried in it. But that's a totally different separate matter. But my dad used to use it constantly, and it was on the same Apple ID as the stuff I use, because I just managed most of the devices. And he used to play this like virtual farming game, and he'd had the volume down or whatever, but like, I could be listening to music, I could be editing a document, I could be doing anything. Then all of a sudden you'll hear like just the sound of sheep, and you're like, what has happened here? But it's after connecting to the iPad, and all you hear is this farming game. So you could have cows or sheep or whatever just randomly start playing in your ears. It's a bit strange, but there you go. So then I promptly shout to turn off the Bluetooth. But anyway, that seems to do it. But there you go.
There's one more piece, David. I suppose this really for the benefit of low vision users, and iOS 18 has been the addition of the hover typing piece. Just had a look at that there. It's actually quite good in the sense that as you're typing, you can have a temporary display of what it is you're typing in, and you can customize how it appears, the size of the text, the color of the background, and the color of the text, and the border around the box that floats up over the keyboard. Definitely want to check out for anyone that does a good bit of typing production on their iPhone or iPad OS. You got to remember that most of these features come to iPad OS as well. So maybe for any of our second level or third level students out there, or anyone that's working in an office that's using an Apple iPad or iPhone for in the line of work, this might be a very, very useful feature. So definitely check that one out. It's called hover typing. Probably the quickest way to get to it is go into settings, go to the search bar and type in hover.
Awesome stuff. Daniel, thank you so much. Joe, thank you so much for that. If you do want to let us know your thoughts on some of the new iOS 18 features, if you're having any issues with it, if you find it absolutely fantastic, either way, we'd love to hear from you. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 086 199 0011, or you can send us an email to content@vi.ie. Either way, we'd love to hear from you, so please do get in touch. Now, in a total separate topic, we did have some extra content from the last podcast that we did around all things in the accessible smart home and accessible cooking and all sorts of stuff like that. And we wanted to catch up with a major player in the space, and that is Cobolt. And if you don't know who Cobolt are, Cobolt make a whole load of really interesting talking appliances. They make, talking microwaves, talking air fryers, everything from talking measuring tapes to watches. You name it, they've probably made it talk at this point, to be honest. But we caught up just recently with Simon Cox, who is a director there at Cobolt, to tell us a little bit about some of the really cool stuff that they have going on this, their 40th anniversary. So joining me now on Talking Technology, I am delighted to be joined from the UK by Simon Cox, who is a director of Cobolt Systems. Simon, how are things?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Excellent. So people, I'm sure, listening to this podcast may well have heard of Cobolt Systems before. You guys make all sorts of things. I always think of Cobolt as the company that finds things that could potentially talk and then make them talk. So, but how would you describe Cobolt? You do so much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we basically supply daily living aids. Most of our design work, the products that we get, is driven by end users. So when we're at exhibitions, or when people come on the phone or email us asking if a product is available, and if not, can it be made to speak? Because obviously, I've been in the industry quite some time now, so I know of products that are available that we don't necessarily sell. So I can either say, well, yeah, I know of that. I know somebody who used to do that. I'm not sure if it's available. Give us your number and I'll find out. So we predominantly, as I say, are pushed by our users. If it is something that is viable to develop, either by scratch or by taking a product and converting it, then we will do. But obviously we do get asked for certain products that may only sell 5 or 10 a year, and with all due respect, the cost of developing these products, even when you're converting one, is still very, very expensive. So it has to make some financial sense.
Absolutely. And this is, Cobolt has obviously been an extremely successful business over the years. You've been operating, this is your 40th anniversary. A lot of change in that time. You haven't been there since the beginning, but you've been there quite a while, as you mentioned. So what kind of change have you seen in the industry over those couple of years that you've been working with Cobolt?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, 40 years. When we first started as a business, we weren't necessarily just doing talking products. So, but certainly for the 35 plus years of that 40, we have been. I've been with the company for a little over 31 years, I think. And I've seen massive jumps forward in technology from. I mean, when we got into the industry, we didn't want speech chips. We didn't want to be under pressure or controlled by chip companies who only have one chip with one voice. So we developed our own way of doing speech and digitizing human speech because, of course, our products, we know what they're going to say, so we know every word in the product. Things like text-to-speech readers obviously can't do that. So leaps and bounds in that sort of stuff. But generally, you know, technology has helped, but I'm not sure it's helped totally because, you know, a lot of stuff now is going online. You've got Alexas that are brilliant bits of kit, things like that, Google Home, all them sort of home things, which is all well and good, but, you know, a couple of weeks ago, we had 48 hours with no internet. If you've got no internet, you can't use it.
For sure.
So we're still finding people want, you know, they want their device that works on its own without internet, and I think there'll always be a market for that. But equally as well, you know, technology things we started developing our first watch many years ago. Watch technology's got better now. We've got more space, more room in the chips to put dual language in there. We've got touch screen watches. So again, something simple. If you're walking down the road using a white cane, traditionally, if you want to tell the time from a watch, you have to stop, hold your cane to one side, put your arm up to your ear, and then with your other hand, push the button. With a touch screen watch, it's different. You can carry on walking down the road with your cane in your left or right hand, and you can just bring your watch up to your ear, and as soon as you touch the face with your ear, it will start talking. So now it's a one-handed solution to get the time.
For sure, yeah. It's interesting there because I think a lot of the time people do think of, you know, like you mentioned there, those smart home devices like Alexa and Google Home, and a lot of people do look at those as being one of the great solutions in many ways, one of the great enablers, especially for people who have sight loss. But as you said, there is a significant benefit to having something like, you know, that just talks out of the box. Like we have the talking air fryer at home. And I think there's a lot of benefits to something like that. But do you ever see a dual approach where maybe down the road you would have a product that, yes, it talks, but may also incorporate some of that smart functionality for those who do like that side of things?
There is a possibility, and we have looked into it a number of times. But sometimes that technology is either under license, and you know you're paying quite a hefty licensing fee to use it. So I, you know, to answer your question, yes, I can see at some point we will have a mixed solution. How that solution is and how that works is yet to be defined. See, we've always been of a mind that we want to supply our products to as many people as possible. So we try to make them and develop them as cheap as possible. And hopefully, in a lot of cases, no more expensive than a non-talking version, or not that much. There's obviously going to be a difference, but, you know, we try to keep that as minimal as possible. So not being locked into, you know, certain chips or certain licensing fees helps us to do that. So I can see it happening, but we'll have to watch this space.
It is something there, and that is something that I think is unusual in some regards in the assistive technology space, if you can call it that, because a lot of the times companies that are in this area, they do charge significantly more. Oftentimes pricing those items completely out of reach of many of the potential customers, in fact. Cobalt has never been one that's really done that. Like the air fryer, I think once I factored in shipping and customs and all of that over here, it was around €160, which might sound like a lot, but in the scheme of things, for things that talk, it's not massive in that kind of realm. So how do you kind of keep the costs down? Do you have a big team over there? Is it a small team? How does that work? How do you keep it so efficient?
One of the ways that we try to combat prices is, as I say, if we can sell it to the biggest audience possible, then it allows us to buy chips and PCBs and plastics and all the rest of the stuff you need to make these products in larger numbers, which means that we can get it cheaper. So the more components we buy, we are currently sat on normally anywhere between 8 and 12 months stock of components to build all our products. And because we know what we need and all our suppliers know, if they get a specific chip and they've got a load of them, they'll ring us up and say, look, got loads of these, do you want any? Doing them cheap? No, okay, we'll have them and we'll buy them and sit on them. So again, that's one way that it helps to keep the cost down by getting the numbers as high as possible. But, it's obviously, it's always a struggle. And certain things, during COVID, shipping components in from America and all around the world, I mean, the cost of shipping just went exponential.
Through the roof, yeah.
But we accept that, in the short term, we can put up with that, and we do put up with it to a point. But sometimes, even to us, it gets to the point where we have to say, I think we're going to have a little bit of a price rise. We try and keep them as minimal and as infrequent as possible. And again, if the situation changes, we'll lower the price again. But there's a lot of work that goes into sourcing everything and just making sure that we are able to keep the costs as low as possible, because we want as many people using our products as physically possible.
For sure.
So the only way to do that is to keep the cost down.
So you guys have, as mentioned there, a range of products: microwaves, air fryers. You mentioned talking watches there. Just tons and tons of stuff. And just this week, you've launched a new catalogue. So do you want to tell me a bit about that and how people can find out more?
Certainly, yes. The catalogue is called the 40th Anniversary Edition. It's available on our website to download as a PDF. Also, there's an audio version on the website. Alternatively, you can give us a call and we can pop you either a hard copy or a audio copy or both in the post. Not a problem. And that's got all of our latest products and up-to-date pricing. It's also got the new double air fryer, which we are just in production now. Hopefully about another week to probably 2 weeks, we should then be able to have it, start sending them out the doors. We're just sort of, obviously, the first time you do a production run of a new product, you've just got to take care and make sure it all is as should be. But again, they've been selling extremely well. We've been taking pre-orders for them. And that's priced at $154.95. And it's almost twice it is twice the capacity of the single air fryer.
Super stuff. Exciting stuff. Well, listen, Simon, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the 40th anniversary. And who knows, maybe you'll be joining us again. And look, if you ever need a great Irish voice for an air fryer or a microwave or anything like that, you know where to come now.
I do, indeed. I'll bear that in mind.
Indeed. Listen, Simon, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really do think I'd make a great voice of an air fryer. I must say, I could do, fish, 30 degrees or whatever. I could definitely do an amazing air fryer. Anyway, thank you so much to Simon from Cobolt for joining us. If you want to send us your thoughts, tell us about some of the coolest talking products in your house. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note, 086 199 0011. We've got Talking Technology news next, but of course, if you do want to interact with the show in any way, or you want to learn more about some of the great news that is happening in the assistive technology industry, why not sign up for our Tech on Tap newsletter? You can sign up for that on our website, vi.ie. There, it comes out every single Friday. And there's some great stuff in there. We covered some really cool stuff on Friday about Braille chords in iOS. We had more details on the stuff in iOS 18. And there's always some great stuff in there, so check that out on the website, vi.ie. But now, well, it's Talking Technology news time.
This is Talking Technology News.
And with your latest Talking Technology news, I'm Daniel Dunn. Elon Musk's company Neuralink has received a breakthrough device designation from the FDA for a brain implant called Blindside. This allows Neuralink to speed up development on the project, hopefully moving it to human trials in the future. The hope is that Blindside could provide images to someone's brain even if they haven't seen before. The technology bypasses the optic nerve and instead stimulates the visual cortex of the brain, in theory providing images and visual information to those who can't see naturally. This tech may be still a long way off, but it's cool to know that it is being worked on. Elon Musk says that at the start, Blindside will only be able to provide very low detailed images to the brain, kind of like Atari graphics, but for someone who has no light perception, that may be a big deal. Many people often ask the question, if you could have your sight back, would you take it? Generally, until now, that has always been a hypothetical question, but we are constantly moving closer to a world where this may become reality. How do you feel about the question? Would you want full sight if it was offered to you? Do you think this changes for people who have had sight and lost it versus those who have never seen before? Send us your thoughts with a WhatsApp voice note. In other news, assistive technology company Envision have announced a partnership with Meta for the launch of their new product Ally. Ally is kind of like Be My AI, but you can also ask questions straight away, and it will also give your ally a personality. The tool can learn a lot about you and seems to be able to interact a bit more with documents and websites. As part of the partnership, Envision is also experimenting with their technology on Meta-developed glasses. The old Envision glasses used the Google Glass hardware, which has since been discontinued. It's interesting tech for sure, and hopefully we'll get to try out this cool new Ally software soon. Envision are asking people to sign up for the beta now on the website ally.me. Innovation like this is great to see, so hopefully the partnership will go well. Also, our Level 1 Smart Speaker course coming up, we explore some of the features available on the Amazon Echo and how they can be used to help people who are blind or partially sighted. We will discuss what is involved from taking it out of the box to getting it set up and ready for use. We'll identify the physical buttons on the speaker, how to use basic spoken commands, and initiate information searches. We will also cover creating timers, reminders, and setting alarms by speaking to your device, as well as other practical uses such as help with spelling, taking a sticky note, and even get us to tell a joke or two. In addition, we will outline the steps involved to setting up an audio tone when the wake word is used. For further information on this course or to register for this online training session, please email Vision Ireland Training at training@vi.ie or give a call to 1-800-911-110. That's 1-800-911-110. The course will be run online on Wednesday, the 2nd of October at 2:30 p.m. Finally, for now, it's important to know when water quality is bad in your area. There is nothing worse than getting that horrible brown smelly water coming out of your tap. Now, though, a new service from Ishka Éireann, or Irish Water, can send you the text alerts if there's going to be water disruption in your area. Previously, this service was only available to vulnerable customers and business customers, but now it is available to all. You can sign up for the text alert service on the website irishwater.ie. You simply enter your phone number and air code, and then you're good to go. This is a great system and sounds like it could be well worth signing up for. You can learn more on this in last Friday's Tech on Tap newsletter or on the Vision Ireland website vi.ie. And that's it for now. If you wanted to share your thoughts on any of these stories, we'd love to hear from you. Send us a WhatsApp voice note to 086 199 0011. But for now, it's back to you, David.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Yes, some really interesting stuff there. And do sign up for that smart speaker course, people, by the way. It is a really good course and is well worth signing up for. Send that email, training@vi.ie. But Daniel, that featured there as well from Elon Musk, Blind Sight. It is crazy how this technology is evolving. And I think this is kind of in its early stages right now. But insane stuff that we're able to get to a point where we're looking at brain implants now, isn't it?
It's spooky. It's it's the stuff of science fiction movies that we've all probably followed there, from young ages. But like here is in the real world, like it's just the next step, isn't it?
It really is. And I think, it starts to raise some really interesting questions. Like, I think every visually impaired person, and Joe, you can speak to this as well, I'm sure, will be asked at some point, if you could have your sight back, would you take it? I think that conversation does come up from time to time.
Yes,
and
please.
And you see, this is funny because you have such a solid answer on that, you'd take it in a heartbeat, you were saying to me earlier on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would. I coming from somebody that I suppose had all my vision up till I was 18, and whereas now I live my life with sight loss, and I live successfully and stuff like that. But I'd prefer to have full vision.
Yeah, that's fascinating because see, I know no different, right? And like for me, like if you offered me, if you offered me full sight in the morning, part of me will probably say, well, I'm happy with what I have. I know what I have. I don't want to lose anything, but I don't have like a driving desire to gain anything a whole lot extra either, because I guess in some ways, and this is where our experiences are slightly different, Joe, I haven't lost something, if you know what I mean. And I think that's a very different mindset in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a different mindset. And look, you don't know what, if you never had vision, maybe it'd be probably another learning experience to gain vision. You know what I mean? It could give you some new problems. I don't know. I don't speak for anybody else and offend anybody, but that's a possibility. It could upset some people if they actually had vision and they had to relearn how to do things. And maybe this thing could give you sort of hallucinations, and different things could occur. We don't know. It's very early stages of FDA testing. The fact that it got FDA testing approval was actually a massive deal as well.
Yeah, it's a major win for them there.
That's major, because that organization has a big reputation. They turn down many different drugs every day of the week, and even for testing. So at this stage, I suppose when the richest man in the world comes knocking with a device that makes claims to do what it does, or that's his audacious goal is to do what he wanted to do, is give sight back to people who've never seen before. So he had many audacious goals, including, I suppose, going to Mars is another one he wants to do. So look, the man has ambitions, and I wouldn't put it past him getting somewhere with this.
No, nor
just
would
don't
I.
know what the timeline is. And
I'd be very interested to hear the timeline. Like, what's the roadmap? How far are they going to be along by such a year, such a year, such a year? I'd love to hear all that. I think it's very intriguing.
Well, now self-driving is coming in 2016, lads. Remember that now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, self-driving. Yeah, well, now in fairness, 2026, you mean, David, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, he I think he said 2016 there at one point, but yeah.
Oh, did he? Yeah, well, he wasn't far wrong, because in certain countries there's a bit of self-driving going on, and Waymo, as you've seen, there's taxis out there that are self-driving in certain states in America. So, not exactly, I suppose, not too many blind people getting into cars, but it is coming. It is coming. I know we say that every year, but there will be a time it'll come. But we were joking the other day, David, that blind monkey that he was testing it on, he was fed up with using voiceover, and he wants his full sight now. He's fed up with listening to Be My AI descriptions. They're too detailed, and he needs more from this device now.
Yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who knows? I think it's going to be a really interesting time. If you look at the deaf or hard of hearing community, they're slightly ahead of us in this regard because of things like cochlear implants and so on. But I think
a good point.
It's going to be a really fascinating time, because that hypothetical question of would you take sight back if it was offered to you, it's going to potentially become a reality in a few years' time. And it may be, this isn't going to be tomorrow. This may be 20, 30, 40 years' time. But we're moving closer and closer to it all the time. And that is a really fascinating place to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fascinating. In many ways, I suppose the ear is probably less complicated than the eyes. I suppose the eyes goes deep, optic nerve goes deep back into the brain. Our ears are, I suppose, the inner ear. They're able to activate that with some sort of stimuli and transplant, and it has worked for many people, especially those with Usher syndrome have got some good results, and that's a condition that suffers from blindness and deafness. So, all of that stuff, when it comes to we'll say research, it helps in both departments, and the more research done in it is a good thing, even if it is electrolyte stimulation with blind sight or something like that. It can only lead on to other things, so I think it's a good thing, even though some people don't like Elon Musk and don't agree with his statements that he comes out on Twitter, and the sides that he leans over to. I suppose they may be he done some controversial things in the past, like Saki's accessibility team, or let them go, whatever way you want to put it, which we weren't too impressed about. But X didn't fall apart all the same. But look, we'll see. We'll just watch this space, David, and I hope see some positive things come with this.
Maybe we won't need the accessibility team if we all get blind sight, you see, Joe.
Well, that could be easy.
Maybe that's the big picture. Maybe we're not seeing the big picture here. But yeah, there you go. Folks, I think we're going to... Will we try something a little fun? I don't know, are we allowed to do this? But hey, we'll give it a go anyway for the laugh. You mentioned there in the news, Daniel, the Envision AI assistant Ally is on its way. Will we try the beta? Get a live demo and see is it any good? So we should briefly point out that this is a beta that is slightly older. I think they have a slightly newer beta out now. But I think it is really cool just to see how this works. So I actually have it on my phone here. And in theory, you should be able to hear my phone. So there's just a simple I've just got an app running on my phone, which has a simple button. And when I press that button, in theory, it will give me a little 3-second countdown. I should get 3 beeps and then a click. So when I hear the click, basically I can just speak to it and ask it what it sees, or I can ask it any specific question. And then I just wait for the description. So shall I press the all-important button and see how we get on? We'll give it a go. So I'm going to press that and see how we go. Hopefully this works, because I was frantically trying to set this up during tech news, but we'll see how we go. What can you see on my screen? And we'll just give that a second there now to think for a little while. And hopefully, if all goes to plan, this will work. Obviously, it is beta tech, so these things can be a little bit hit or miss. But it is definitely doing something, I think. So we'll just give it a while to actually think about what it can see.
On your screen, I can see an application running with a blue background that says Stream Time and displays a time of 01:38:34. Below that, there is a section labeled Mixer, and it appears to be showing levels for both streaming and recording with dB, indicators for left, L, and right, R, channels. The display includes play and stop buttons, along with a few other control icons. This setup suggests that you might be monitoring or managing a live stream or recording session.
And there we go. So it's asking now a follow-up question. So that is a very early beta of what seems to be evolving into Envision Ally. I think this is going to be really cool. They've shown off demos on social media of Ally being able to like fill in forms online and stuff like that on command, things like that. But I think this is really exciting. We've said this before, more competition in this space, and it seems like there is a good few of them now. But this can only be a good thing, really, can't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. The more innovation we see in this area, and I suppose like whoever comes up with one idea, someone comes up with another idea, but eventually you probably see them all mishmashed together anyway, and you get a great outcome, you know. So that's what I like to see, more different approaches being taken on this. So yeah, keep it up.
Absolutely. Joe, how are you feeling about it? Do we need more AI assistance? Do you think it's good that we're experimenting so much? What can Envision add to the space, really?
Yeah, do we need more? I'm not sure. We need one good one. That's the way I feel about it. If we can get one really good one, or even two really good ones to give a bit of choice there, I'd be happy with that. I like the sound of the voice on that as well, David. And Envision, I think they're really good in this space. They seem to be really innovative. I reckon they will do a good job. I'm not sure what their pricing plan is going to be, but I'm looking forward to hearing it, and we hopefully will hear more from them soon on this show. And yeah, did I hear something about Meta glasses? So Meta are going to be they're a big player in this at the moment, and let's see. I'm looking forward to it, David. To be honest with you, I haven't given the beta a go myself. I know you have access to it there. Well, what's your opinion on it? That's the most important. The man that's using
it's interesting. So I should say the beta that I have is very early on. I think this is before they even announced the Meta integration. And I don't think that's almost a prototype. I think a proof of concept that they were showing me. But like, I think it is going to be really interesting because they are also like the first, to use this technology. They're using an AI model from Meta for their descriptions. Like Be My AI is using GPT, so is Ira. I think Ira is also using a bit of Gemini. But this is the first platform of its kind, to the best of my knowledge, that is using the Meta models. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. You raised some really interesting questions earlier on, Joe, when we were chatting about this. Will it all be available in Ireland? Obviously, there's been challenges with the Meta smart glasses in Ireland, but this is a really interesting area. I've been quite impressed by the demos that I've seen of Envision Assistant. I haven't got to try its document managing features yet. I think if that is the case and that is as shown, that's going to be a real game changer, because there is no great solution for that right now. But I do think, it's great to see innovation in this space. And all we need now, when after this, I think, is someone to pull it together. That you have a really good image describer, video describer, document analyzer, all of these different things. Now it's just pulling them together to create the ultimate tool. And who will come out on top? And that is going to be really interesting to see. But there you go. That's kind of my take on it, Joe, anyway.
Yeah, I like the one from Be My Eyes, the actual prototype or demo they done with Andy Lane on YouTube. I'm not sure if we played that a few shows ago or not, but we spoke about it anyway. I like the way they do description, and I'm hoping very soon we hear something from Be My Eyes as well.
Yeah, it's always good to have innovation in that space, and that demo of that kind of video call technology is really something else. So hopefully we will get that in time too. But Joe, thank you so much for that. Daniel, thank you so much for tech news as well. I really appreciate that as always. And hey, that is about our show. So thank you for listening. We've really enjoyed being with you over the last little while. Hope you've enjoyed the show. A bit of a longer one today, but there you go. If you do want to get in touch with us, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. As always, you can send us a WhatsApp voice note to 086 199 0011, or you can send us an email the good old-fashioned way to content@vi.ie. For now, thank you so much for listening, and hey, we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for another episode of Talking Technology with VI Labs. See you then.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with VI Labs. If you'd like to support our show, please visit vi.ie/donate. Talking Technology is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in digital accessibility services. IA Labs, digital inclusion, your legal obligation.